Hi, New Hope. This is Pastor David here. I want to bring to you what God thinks about a subject that I believe is on God's mind and heart right now. God wants to address those who have been wounded or injured in this life. I know, unfortunately, that's most of us, right? But I believe God wants me to refine the conversation to just a few. He wants to talk to those unique few that feel that they have been wounded or injured specifically by God. This is a devastating feeling when you feel that God Himself in some way is against you and has injured you or wounded you. This has created a clear distance between yourselves, a separation of sorts, and you could even have stopped trusting Him. All those associated with Him you avoid at all costs. You've almost stopped coming to church because you're so angry. Almost stopped coming altogether. Maybe you're losing your faith. You feel you have a case against God. Well, that's interesting. Imagine if you could actually bring your case against God. What would that be like? We know that someone in the Bible called Job rightfully reasoned his case before God, and it went like this. There was a court case in heaven, or a case in heaven, where actually Satan brought to God his accusation. He said, Job only loves you, God, because you've given him all this stuff. I mean, he was a wealthy guy. And God said, okay, have your way with him. Don't kill him, but have your way with him, and we'll see at the end if he stays faithful and loyal to me. Well, we know how that ended up. Job lost his family. I mean, imagine holding your own children, dead children in your hands, and being injured in such a terrible, ghastly way. He lost his family. He lost his wealth. He lost everything. He even lost his health. And in the end, his wife turned her back on him and said, just curse God and die. So here's a guy who's lost everything over the decisions that God had made. And yet he was injured by God and had a legitimate case. But what did Job do? Job actually ran towards God. He didn't distance himself from God. He didn't stop being loyal to God. But he brought his case before God. And in the end, Job was proven right and everything was restored to him with interest. Because one thing is true. God is just. You know, I had a situation in my life where I wanted to bring in my case before God. I felt I was injured. I felt I was wounded by God Himself. You see, He didn't protect my family. That's what I felt. I was all over the world preaching the gospel, seeing many people saved, traveling here and there. But at home, my family was falling apart. At home, I found out that I'd lost the love of my life. The pain that set in meant that a few other things cascaded from my life. I lost the church that I was pastoring. I also lost the home that I had built for 25 years. I lost the cars. I lost everything. And under that kind of stress, I actually lost my health. And in my bitterness and pain, I could have run from God. I could have got angry at God. I could have done all those things which normal reactions would do. But instead, I knew something. I knew that God was just. And so I ran towards Him, knowing deep down that His throne is established on two things: righteousness and justice. In Psalm 89, verse 14, it says this: righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne. Love and faithfulness go before you. So what happened was God gave me a dream. I remember it so well. It was vivid. I would walk up these steps, many, many steps, into this large foyer area. It was the foyer to the throne room of God, the courthouse of heaven. And in my dream, I had this huge stack of papers. This was my case against God for not looking after my family, not protecting me, not having all those scriptures come to life in my life. In fact, my family was destroyed. And I had this case against God. And as I stood there, I looked around in my imagination of my dream. I saw all these angels taking care of thousands of other people as well. They were all standing there in the foyer, waiting to be seen by God himself for their cases. And one compassionate angel came up to me and, like a soft lawyer, spoke to me and says, "Hey, you know, you'll be standing here for quite some time. You could stand here for the rest of your life. He's got many cases in front of him. Rest assured that there will be a time where all things will be judged for what we have done." It says both the righteous and the wicked will give an account of their life before God. He says, but do you really want to stand here for the rest of your life in this waiting room for God to bring justice and God to see your case? And I decided that day in my dream that I didn't want that. So I turned around, walked out and left the case in the angel's hands, the folder. And I walked down the steps, and the dream ended pretty cool. It was this big, beautiful black limousine turned up at the bottom of the steps. And I noticed on the front of the limousine was the king's crest, his flag flying. And the angel, the security guard, came around the corner and said to me, "Get in, he wants you to do some things for him." So that was a pretty cool way to end a dream. But what that meant to me was I had to respond, or rightly respond, to the pain of incredible loss in my life. And what I did was I ran towards God, knowing that he is faithful, that his love never fails. Instead of running from God and being angry and avoiding him, I rightly responded. May you rightly respond today.